Following the Mariners Game 2 win, you've got questions. We'll answer them coming up here on Mailbag Monday. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, October 6, 2025. This is Tidy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon called Control the Zone, where we talk Mariners, Seahawks, and whatever else we want. For more information, go to patreon.com/control the zone. Link in the description. Let's open up the mailbag like we do here every Monday and answer some of your Mariners questions. Max kicks us off here. Wanting to know, what can a series like this do for Julio Rodriguez moving forward? He's always felt the pressure to be the guy in Seattle, and now he's doing it in the playoffs. Do you think this can be a huge confidence boost for Julio?
Julio doesn't seem like a guy who lacks confidence to me.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really a confidence issue per se, or it hasn't been. We talked about this a little bit last night also. Like, if you look at Julio's numbers and what, are classified as high leverage spots, he's actually pretty good. So it's really kind of an overstated thing that Julio struggles in the clutch moments and all that stuff. He really doesn't. There's no statistical backing. It really is just kind of like our memory is that he's failed in all these places. And we kind of forget, like hitting the home run off of Kenley Jansen and the 2 times he got Abreu this year. And, like we don't remember as many of those. We remember, the times he grounded out to the shortstop by, swinging out of his shoes and popping the ball up and all that. So chasing the slider 8 feet outside. So yeah, it's just like when he's bad in those spots, he's really, really bad. And obviously you're going to fail in those spots more often than you succeed, because that's just baseball. But it's just one of those things. I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but it is, maybe, honestly, it might be more confidence inspiring from the fan base to kind of get off his back a little bit and start, treating Julio like the player that he is, not the player they think he has to be. And so, I don't know what this does for Julio, but I think it does a lot for the fan base. I think it does a lot for the clubhouse that he's been that guy in these games. And, it really is just about building something so that other people believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. I don't think Julio lacked confidence in those spots. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I've never talked to the guy. I don't know. He'll never admit it anyways, one way or another. But yeah, it obviously means something. But I don't know if this drastically changes anything for Julio going forward about himself. Maybe it changes the way we perceive him, us, the fans and all that, perceive him in these moments as a guy who doesn't always choke, doesn't always, whiff when you need him. Maybe that's the real change. But I can't tell you what it does for him personally, because I don't know the guy personally.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I guess from Julio's point of view, I think it is fair to assume that he's heard it all from, people like us. But there's also going to be times where, he doesn't come through, and that's okay, because that's just baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to happen. He's going to got at times. But yeah, I think, maybe from his perspective, it does help a little bit. I think in general, though, maybe it's just a weight off of his shoulders, because again, he's probably heard it. And now he's actually done it. And now, there really aren't any more boxes for him to check off in that specific regard, right? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe getting that weight off of his shoulders helps a little bit, but overall, I think you made a great point that it's more so on the fan side of things, and specifically that group of Mariners fans that have been so heavily critical of Julio, that now it's okay, he's done it, right? And he's had a great start to the playoffs. What's the complaint now?
Right.
Dumper wants to know, would you feel comfortable running Kirby out again game 4 on Wednesday? It would be on 4 days rest. Would your answer change depending on the outcome of Tuesday's game?
I think Kirby would be pitching on 3 days. Sunday, today, game 3, and so he would pitch on that day. That would only be 3 days rest.
Right. Yeah.
So no, I if it was 4 days rest, like that's the normal schedule, guys. Like you get 4 days off, you pitch on the 5th day. This would be you get 3 days off, you pitch on the 4th day. That's a day
Yeah.
less. So
Yeah.
the math's wrong. But I think the spirit of the question is still the same. Is that basically would you do a short rest with Kirby? No, I don't think so. Obviously not the full workload. I don't think you can do that. Because, also we need to remember Kirby missed the first couple months, first month and a half or whatever of this season with a, what was it, an elbow?
Shoulder.
I get him and Logan mixed up, but
yeah, Logan was the elbow.
Yeah. So like, how much does that weigh in on George Kirby? And it probably has something to do with the significant drop in his arm slot this year as well. And so I don't think they're going to push long-term, health off the table. And if you're asking a guy to do something he's never done before, that's a risk. So it is, kind of having to weigh this whole idea of like, well, there is no tomorrow, you need to win tonight, versus like, well, yeah, but if we put George out there on short rest with, a shoulder that we're worried about and something goes wrong, we might lose him for the rest of, next year, all of next year or something like that. So it really is a tough, tough thing you need to maneuver here. It's one of the few things that would make a rain out on Tuesday good, is that you could just start Kirby in game 4 if you wanted to. But right now you'd be starting him on short rest. I think it's possible to use him out of the bullpen if game 4, and either you win game 2 and you can clinch on, or you win game 3 and you can clinch on game 4, and you can kind of play it by ear and be like, okay, well, this game's trending in the right direction, let's go to Kirby now. Or you lose game 3 and then you have to win on game 4, at which point I think Kirby probably has to be at least somewhat available for, I don't know how many pitches, 30, 40 pitches out of the bullpen. So
to me, that doesn't change things. If you win game 3 or you lose game 3, I think my plan is the same, because if you win game 3, I want to win game 4 and not have to beat Scooble a 4th time.
Right.
Yeah. So,
well, by the way, if you win game 3, could you be in a position where the Tigers might ask Scooble to pitch on 3 days rest and then not have him for game 5, because then they won't have, because if the Tigers win, then there's really no reason for them to use Scooble in game 4.
Well,
but if they lose, then maybe they're having the same conversation we're having about like,
if Scooble goes game 4, then maybe that changes things a little bit for me. But right now, I think where I'm at is Kirby and Bryce Miller piggyback. Whether that's Miller starts and then Kirby comes in after, or Kirby starts and Miller comes in after. Either way, like if you could get 3 from each of those guys, or 5 combined between those two guys, I think that's ideal. I mean, it's not ideal, but like of the options that I have available to me, I think that's the best way to go about it. That's the one that I feel most comfortable with.
Yeah. Then that leaves Castillo as your only option for game 5, which again, if you're, especially if you're down 2-1 in game 4, who cares about game 5? You worry about that if you get there. So yeah, I think it changes a little bit, but I think either way it changes, it's still, there's a good point to be made. Like, should he pitch in game 4? Well, yeah, because we want to avoid Scooble in game 5, or like, yeah, because we have to have him so we can get to a game 5 and try to beat Scooble again. Like, so I think either way, there's a good case to be made for Kirby pitching on short rest. But again, the injury is something that we have to take into account, and the Mariners, they really don't push injured guys or guys who are hurting to do things that they don't feel comfortable that they can do. And we don't know if Kirby can do it or not. We don't know.
We also don't know if he's like fully healthy or not. Like he might be. He might be now. And like I mentioned on Thursday or Friday, like he is well below his career high in innings. So he is in theory fresher than he typically would be at this point in the year.
But he's never pitched on 3 days rest before. Like I said, I think on 3 days rest, what could you reasonably ask him to do? I don't know. Is it 40 pitches? Is it 50? I don't know, and so that's kind of the part of the issue here. But I think it's something you have to consider.
Yeah, I mean, like if you can get 5 combined between him and Bryce, it's probably Bryce throwing 3 and George throwing 2.
Right. And George throwing 2 doesn't have to happen right after Bryce throws his 3. Like you go Bryce for
Yeah.
3, and then you can go to Spire, and then, Bizardo, and then
Yeah.
Kirby for 2, and then it's Brash and Munoz. Like, so yeah, it's not like you actually have to piggyback them. It's just that Miller's probably the bulk guy, and Kirby is like going to get the second most amount of outs, you hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think you have to consider something like that pretty heavily.
And again, that might be another reason why we didn't see Bryce in the 11th inning there in game 1. So we'll see.
I have to assume the plan is for Bryce to start game 4. As for whether or not that just as an opener or the bulk guy or whatever, my assumption is that Bryce is in the plans to be a major part of game 4.
Would you consider using Caleb Ferguson as the opener in game 4?
Yeah, I thought about that. Because either you get those 2 lefties to face a lefty to start the game, or you force Hinch to kind of maneuver his lineup around to push them further back in the lineup so that they could face a righty the first time up. But now they're getting fewer opportunities as the game plays out, because instead of hitting 2 and 3, they're hitting 5 and 6. So yes, I do think that, starting Ferguson as an opener could be in play on Thursday as well. Probably not Spire, but Ferguson, yeah, I could see that.
Wednesday. But maybe Thursday if the game gets rained out tomorrow.
Yeah. Which.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, like I wouldn't entertain Spire as the opener because I don't want to burn Spire that early on in the game. No. But maybe Ferguson.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But they have some options here. They have some ways that they can get creative with it. But right now, I think George Kirby has to pitch to some degree in game 4. He just has to. All right, we got a few more of your questions here to go over in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners playoff game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. It's Mailbag Monday. Let's get back into your questions. Deep Hanky wants to know, outside of 2 home games versus the Rockies, Geno is 0 for 52 with 26 strikeouts and 4 walks at home in September and October. Thoughts on why he has been so dreadful at home? Confidence level on him turning around on the road.
Geno's never been very good at T-Mobile Park. I think.
Yeah, but this is like the extreme of it.
Right. But also we know that Geno's never been this bad anywhere for this long. So like, it is one of those things where it's like, this is the extreme version of it, sure. But also, you don't have a better option. Like, you're not going to sit here and tell me you'd rather have Ben Williamson getting these at-bats. Like, that, no, that's not a thing. Leo Rivas, yes. I mean, like, look, Jake Lamb is not walking through that door, okay? Like, you kind of have to throw back to the OGs. Yeah. You kind of have to roll with it. And, because we know that he is fully capable of flipping the other direction. And right now, hitting 6th is fine. I probably would have Canzone hit ahead of him. Like, I think Geno shouldn't be hitting higher than 7. But like, because of the upside and because of the rest of the lineup around him, you feel okay about Geno going out there, but he's never been particularly good at T-Mobile Park. Again, never this bad, but never really that good, which is part of the reason why the Mariners traded him. Not the biggest reason. We know why the Mariners traded him the first time. We know the biggest reason why.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the factors was that the bat was slowing down a little bit and he wasn't hitting well at T-Mobile Park, and you play half your games there. So blah, blah, blah. So like, we knew that this was a strong possibility. Geno's not a great fit for T-Mobile. He's really not. But you only play half your games there, and you're going out on the road here in Comerica. And yeah, how am I confident he can turn it around? Not really, because I don't think it's just solely a home road thing. But
Sure.
does it help? Yeah, I mean, it almost certainly helps because numbers don't lie. He's been better away from T-Mobile Park than he's been at T-Mobile Park. So
Yeah.
I don't know why it's happening to this degree. I don't know. Like, I wish I could answer that for you. I can't. Am I confident he'll turn it around? No, not really. Is there a better option that the Mariners should be exploring? No, not really. Like, it kind of is what it is. And you're hoping that he catches fire at a certain time, and it's something he's fully capable of doing. So it's honestly not that bad of a bet to take if you're Seattle.
Yeah. I would say this, that we know what Geno's upside is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you keep him in the lineup. You keep him because, like, teams know that, like, if I make a mistake to him, he's going to hit it 500 feet. Simple as that.
Yep.
Right. So there's always that danger, even when he's struggling, even when he is 0 for 52 outside of a couple of games against the Rockies. Like, there's always that danger lingering for other teams. They have to worry about Geno Suarez. They have to respect him. Right.
You saw how careful they were pitching to him last night. And he's been terrible for a month, and they still have to really be on the edges and, really be conscious about what they're throwing and where they're throwing. And Geno worked a couple of counts last night. So, like, he's still a dangerous bat, even though he's not hitting at all. And that is something that works into the fatigue of going through this lineup.
On the road, he's actually been really good since coming over to the Mariners. He's hitting 280, 330, 591. That's a 152 WRC plus. I think that Geno is going to have a big moment during the playoffs at some point, whether it's in this series or hopefully after they advance. I mean, look, Geno's going to strike out a lot. We know what the issues are. We know what the pitfalls are of Geno. We know what the upside is of Geno. It really doesn't matter about confidence level or anything like that to me, really. It's just like, we know who he is. And, sometimes he's going to hit a ball 1 billion feet. And a lot of times he's going to go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. It's just the life of having Geno Suarez on your team. And he's your 6-hole hitter. So most nights. So whatever.
As long as your whole team isn't made of Geno Suarez's, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Next question here from Ben. Can you discuss the Blue Jays a little? How do you see a possible ALCS series with them going? Gossman, Bieber, Scherzer, and now Savage. That's a bit of a problem. You want to try and get into that bullpen, but if they're already a team that creates problems for this specific rotation. Specifically, they're a bad matchup for Logan Gilbert and how much they just annoy opposing pitchers and put the ball in play a lot and just don't strike out. On top of that, if they're going to start hitting home runs, that's going to be a tough test. That's definitely a team right now, especially after the way the last couple of games have gone, that I think can legitimately win the World Series. So yeah, that'd be a tough matchup. But hey, let's win this series first before we worry about anything else down the road.
The shame on both of you for discussing it that much.
All right, we'll answer more of your questions here in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. And if you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. It's Mailbag Monday. Got a couple more of your questions to answer. Casey wants to know, should the Mariners have pinch hit Dom Canzone for Geno in his last at bat, then put Ben Williamson at third in the bottom of the ninth? No, because Finnegan had already faced his minimum, so they just would have gone to Herter batter earlier. Now, obviously, like Canzone against lefties has been fine for the most part since he's come back up, but no, I'd rather have Geno face Finnegan in that situation than Canzone against Herter. So no, it just, it didn't work out. And again, like Geno's really struggled at home and all that stuff, but still I'd rather just go with the upside of Geno potentially hitting a 3-run bomb in that situation, making it 6-2. Yeah.
I mean, heck, even a sacrifice fly probably ins that game.
Yeah. Well, technically Julio's double into the game, but
yeah, right. But you get what I'm saying. But no, I mean, nope. I think that's fine. I think the bigger question is why the heck is Geno playing defense in the bottom of the ninth? Like when you have Ben Williamson, and I get it. The whole point is that, when Naylor goes on paternity, then Williamson's going to start at third and Geno's going to start. Like, cool, but that's not the only time you can use Ben Williamson. You know when a great time to use Ben Williamson is? When you're up by 1 in the ninth inning and Geno's just had his last at bat of the night.
Yeah.
That's a great time to use Ben Williamson. So I don't know what he's doing here. If you're not going to use him in those exact spots, they should have used him on Saturday after Geno's last at bat. Put him out there at third. Like, you need your best defensive team out there. And the Mariners, don't know if you guys know this or not a good defensive team.
All right, final question of the day comes from Zach. Assuming Naylor plays the whole series, should Rayleigh get a start versus Flaherty or Mize, or should they keep rolling with Robles? I'm going with run prevention here. And
look, it's not like Rayleigh's bad out there. Like, I trust Rayleigh in the outfield, but he's just
Robles is better.
Robles is a center fielder playing right field. Like, yeah. Canzone Rayleigh is a capable corner outfield. Like, he's better than Randy Arozarena defensively by a mile, but he's not better than Robles. So because neither guy's hitting right now, I'll go with the glove.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So here's what you can expect on the show the rest of the week. I mean, we're going to have to kind of play it by ear based on how long the series goes and all that. And, if tomorrow gets rained out, I figure they'll probably play the game at some point tomorrow. I know it's 85% chance of rain, but the game is supposed to start at 1:00 Pacific time. So Detroit's on Central time, right?
Yes,
so that would be 3:00. So that would be 3:00 local time. Yeah. So there's a lot of time for the rain to, kind of, I mean, maybe if it's an all day thing, I don't know what exactly the forecast is, but I figure the game will get played. If it doesn't, we might just not wind up doing a show tomorrow. If it does, though, we'll do a post game show. Obviously, Chris and Anders will have you covered on the postcast, but we'll do what we did on the weekend. Same thing on Wednesday for that game. If there is a game on Thursday, if everything has to get pushed back a day, then we'll do a post game show after that. If not, hopefully we're talking about a series win on Thursday, and Friday we're previewing the ALCS. If not, we're talking about a game 5, hopefully, or we're putting the season to rest.
Season plans.
yeah. Like there's just so many possibilities here. So again, post game shows after every single game, like on the weekend. That's not changing, and we'll just play it by ear for the rest, depending on what the results are of these games and what the fallout ultimately is of this series. So. All right. That is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day. We'll see you next time. Peace.